Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. Today, I'm happy to start off by sharing that we continue to see companies moving forward with projects throughout the Commonwealth, building on our best two-year period for economic growth in our state's history. On Friday, I had the opportunity to join leaders from Neogen Corporation, a manufacturer of animal and food safety products, at the company's new facility in Montgomery County. The company's invested $9.8 million in this new facility, and it's going to create 79 new full-time jobs in the Mount Sterling area. Neogen has had a presence in the Commonwealth since locating in 1993 in Lexington, where they have their headquarters for animal safety. They employ 170 residents in Fayette County, so these jobs will be in addition to those. In 2020, Neogen's Lexington operations really stepped up in the face of the pandemic. Neogen increased manufacturing and distribution of critically needed biosecurity products, including disinfectants, cleaners, and hand sanitizers, while working closely with the Commonwealth. I want to congratulate Neogen and its new facility, and this day was also special because this company is going into a building that had housed one of the area's larger employers that had left. And so citizens drive by facilities like that where so many people worked, and it hurts. It hurts when a community loses a major employer. So filling this building back up, I know, is extra special to this community. This morning, I was in Louisville as another great company cut the ribbon on a state-of-the-art parts distribution center that's creating 80 full-time jobs for our residents. Packer Parts invested $45 million for the distribution center for parts used on heavy and medium-duty trucks, trailers, buses, and engines. Located in Louisville's Riverport Authority's Phase 5 development, it's a 260,000 square foot facility that supports both original equipment and replacement parts. The facility is a great addition to the Commonwealth and our rapidly growing and evolving automotive industry. Thanks to the company's leaders, they also own another company in Louisville, so their workforce is over 800 Kentuckians. Very special, and we are greatly appreciative. Last, I want to highlight some exciting news as we build out Kentucky's presence of high-tech employers. We recently announced 8 innovative Kentucky companies are receiving nearly $900,000 in state matching grants as part of our SBIR/STTR matching funds program. These programs invest critical dollars for early stage tech companies in Kentucky or companies that are coming to Kentucky. The full list of awardees is on our website. To date, this program has awarded companies dollars that have created more than 725 quality jobs, with 70% of those jobs having an annual salary over $50,000, so good paying jobs. I want to thank everyone who's had a hand in this latest round of funding from the Kentucky Innovation and the Cabinet for Economic Development to the individuals and companies themselves. I can't wait to see what these new exciting tech companies are going to do. All right, in continuing good news, we have great news for our military families. So today, we're announcing Kentucky will be connecting more military families with quality childcare. We're one of the first states to do so after we received approval from the Department of Defense. These efforts are made possible through a program called the Military Child Care in Your Neighborhood Plus program. Here are the facts you need to know. The program helps to pay for child care for eligible military families when they can't find care on their base or their installation. Families taking part in the program will receive a $1,500 monthly stipend to help with child care expenses. The program is expected to encourage retention in the armed forces, the Navy, the Army, Air Force, Marines. It increases options for our families so the children of our service members can be safe and healthy and have the best foundation possible for their children's education. The program is a win-win because it also benefits local child care providers. They can grow their income and business all while supporting our heroes in uniform. There are currently 145 licensed child care providers that are participating. Affordable, quality child care changes lives for this generation, the next, and the next. Accredited providers support early childhood development. They help parents get back to work, and they set kids up to reach their full potential. If you're a child care provider and you aren't accredited, you can apply for fee assistance through the state's Division of Child Care or take part in their quality improvement program. For more information, go to the Cabinet's website or call 502 564 2524. Just think about what last week's announcement of investment in early education, what this program could do, and then think about what it could do working alongside universal pre-K. Our economy is transforming. It is our economic revolution or evolution. We need to make sure that we are investing and providing the opportunities at the earliest age to create that incredible workforce of the future, which means to create the smartest generation that we can to invest in our kids. And that's something we should all want to do. This week, I also joined the Kentucky Arts Council to celebrate 9 special recipients of the 2022 Governor's Award in the Arts, a recognition of their dedication in sharing the arts with Kentuckians across our Commonwealth. So this week's winners were Kay Savage Browning of Mason County. She won the Milner Award for outstanding philanthropic, artistic, or other contributions to the arts. Maxine Ray of Warren County, winner of the Folk Heritage Award. Nan Moore of Jefferson County, winner of the Education Award. She had been at the male band for a long time before pursuing many other education opportunities. Amanda Matthews of Fayette County, winner of the Artist Award, also our artist who is putting together the COVID Memorial. Morgan Atkinson of Jefferson County, winner of the Media Award. Bobby Osborne, a Leslie County native, winner of the National Award, award-winning bluegrass artist. And 3 organizations, Independence Bank, the Murray Art Guild, and the Kentucky Native American Heritage Commission, each of which has played such an important role here in the Commonwealth. So congratulations to all of these incredibly talented, well-deserving artists. All right, open enrollment deadline. As governor, I believe healthcare is a basic human right. So today, we've got more good news for Kentucky families as we work to expand healthcare access to even more people. This is really important for everybody to hear. You still have a few days to sign up for healthcare coverage that starts on February 1st. If you don't already have coverage through an employer or a separate program, such as Medicaid, Medicare, or TRICARE, you can go to our state-based marketplace and pick a plan. The deadline is January 15th. So if you don't already have coverage, you need to go to our state-based marketplace and pick a plan by January 15th. You can see plan options on the Connect website. That is connect.ky.gov. All you have to do is type in your zip code and answer some simple questions, and it will point you to plan options. We also have staff members called connectors who can help you to sign up for the appropriate plan. You can find one near you on the Connect website or call DCBS. Their number is 855-459-6328. That's the Department for Community-Based Services. A licensed health insurance agent can also help you. The next enrollment period is in November, so we need for anybody who lacks healthcare coverage to go online. And most people will find that they get some help in paying for one of those programs. All you have to do to know if you qualify and whether or not you'll be qualified for one of those subsidies is get online and answer those questions. Everybody needs healthcare coverage, and there are more options now than ever, especially with Connect. So please, everybody, in a better Commonwealth is a healthier Commonwealth. And everybody deserves to be able to take their kids or their parents to a doctor when they're sick. You need healthcare coverage to have the security to know that you can do that. So January 15th is that deadline. Please go online. One of the most fundamental roles of government and a top priority for me as governor is the safety of every Kentuckian. And the Kentucky State Police dedicate their lives to the safety of their communities every day. That's why I was excited a little less than a week ago about an incredible law enforcement operation between the Warren County Drug Task Force, Kentucky State Police, and the Kentucky State Police Drug Interdiction Team. whereby KSP stopped a vehicle on I-65 south of Bowling Green. Officers found 80 pounds of meth. This represents the largest seizure of meth in Warren County's history. 2 men were arrested on charges of first-degree trafficking in that arrest. Following or shortly before that, KSP Post 12 troopers in Franklin County also conducted a routine traffic stop for a speeding violation. They found approximately 2 pounds of meth inside that vehicle. The troopers arrested the man involved and confiscated the illegal drugs. So on behalf of our entire Commonwealth, thank you to our law enforcement for these incredible operations, both of which are incredibly significant, but these occur in our communities every single day. So thank you to those that are out there taking dangerous drugs off the street and making our communities safer. All right, a quick DJJ update. In December, we announced our plans to further protect youth and staff at the Department of Juvenile Justice. Those plans have a number of parts that we've announced, but 3 big parts were the transfer of all female youth detained to a separate facility so that all female juveniles would be kept separate from any male juveniles. That step has already been completed. The next step was separation of male juveniles by offense. And the third was the designation of 3 high security detention centers, where as a rule, where there would be some exceptions, those that are charged with a C-level felony or above, which are the most violent crimes, would go to a higher security facility, while those charged with lower level crimes, even misdemeanors or status offenses, could be at a more minimum security facility. Doing this will protect the safety of both our workers and those inside the facility, and also, just as importantly, will stop the disruption of services that's caused when there is an incident, nearly always caused by one of the higher level offenders that require lockdowns or other steps until order can be restored. And that's what results in people missing showers or school lessons or services or parental visits. That is all tied to those disruptions that occur in the facility. So I'm pleased to report that as of today, all male juveniles 14 or older who've been charged with a violent or serious offense are now housed at one of those 3 high security detention centers. What that means is our population, again, 14 and up, and with a few common sense exceptions, is now housed not by the region, but by the level of offense. To complete this task, the department had to transport a total of 37 male juveniles who had been charged with serious offenses to higher security facilities. Those charged with serious offenses are housed at one of 3 facilities, and they were selected because security-wise, they were ready to be the higher level facilities. Those are in Adair County, Fayette County, and Warren County. Male juveniles 14 or younger or charged with a lower level offense are at Boyd, Breathitt, Jefferson, McCracken. Females will continue to be housed at Campbell County, as we announced in December. So this is one of the biggest changes in how we house juveniles in this system. They have been housed regionally for the last 20 years. I heard some people putting out misinformation on this. They have been housed at their closest regional area since the system has been created. And while there are a lot of advantages to that we get, there's going to be a lot of challenges in changing from that. It simply was no longer safe to continue housing our juveniles that way. We're continuing to implement a transportation plan, and candidly, we need to better inform law enforcement out there about that plan. The goal on all this, the final product as we see it, is once we have a fully operational transportation group inside of DJJ, then local law enforcement will be able to do what they've always done. They will take a juvenile to the local facility. We will have a separate holding facility, a separate holding area in those facilities for the first 48 hours. And that's when a juvenile has their first hearing. Then DJJ and not local law enforcement will transport them to the appropriate facility. So we are going to get to a point where there won't be an impact on local law enforcement, but needing to move fast for the security of both the juveniles and our workers means we're going to have to work through it until we get there. But my promise, again, to law enforcement and other groups is we will get this system in place that doesn't add any burden on you. But I know everybody shares the same goal of making sure that female juveniles are not housed with males. They should not be. And that ultimately we create the safest system possible that provides the most services to those that are the most willing. Flooding update. Soon will mark 6 months since the unprecedented flooding that destroyed so many homes and devastated entire communities in eastern Kentucky. Each week we try to report on progress, and each week there is progress. Just like the actual debris cleanup, sometimes you don't see it in the first couple steps, and then you see the big surge forward. We are going to stand with the people of eastern Kentucky, just like we're standing with the people of western Kentucky until the job is done, no matter how long it takes. Admittedly, this is going to be one of the toughest rebuilds in U.S. history, and moving people from flood-prone areas to safe higher ground communities, that's going to take some time, but we are committed to providing intermediate housing until everybody has that permanent solution. So as a FEMA update, so far the total approved dollars from FEMA is more than $94.8 million. We've had a $662,441 increase from last week. In other words, dollars continue to flow out. Don't give up on your claim. Each week, we're seeing at least hundreds of thousands of additional dollars flowing out. So to put it another way, since January 4th, additional 4 applicants have received the maximum grant of $37,900. So an award is still possible. Please do not stop pushing your claim. You can call FEMA directly at 800-621-3362 or visit a multi-agency resource center. We currently have 249 households in travel trailers, 255 travel trailers that are occupied in 10 commercial locations, and 5 trailers off-site at a private location. I do believe that is an increase of at least 1. Remember, our private sites are a little more challenging. Now, if you look up on the pending, this really shows you how many people now have applied and are still in that process for wanting a travel trailer. Just 4 on these commercial sites. Those are the one in blue. 5, these are households requesting private sites, which again take a lot more time because this isn't just a camper. This is a home connected to utilities that people are going to live in for a while. Again, the 124 households transitioned out, which I think is up about 11 from last week, is our best number. That's when we really see where people are finding more permanent housing. Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. Donations are still very much needed, especially now that we have our first property to build a high ground community. You can donate at teamEKYFloodReliefFund.ky.gov. An update on the FEMA buyout program. So yesterday was a historic moment for Kentucky as KYEM Hazard Mitigation Team met with Perry County officials to sign the documentation that's led to 13 separate properties that have now qualified for the FEMA buyout program. They traditionally take 18 months to 3 years to do this. It was done in 93 days. And it's going to put $2 million into the hands of Eastern Kentucky homeowners to rebuild their future in a safer environment. We have some additional EK Safe Fund awards. If you remember, this is when I called a special session and the legislature, working in a nonpartisan way, both with each other and the administration, we were able to designate more than $212 million in state funds to help our Eastern Kentucky communities, just like we created a fund to help our Western Kentucky communities. So today I'm announcing nearly $4.6 million in additional awards from that fund. Payments going out this week include more than $70,000 to the city of Jenkins to fund a FEMA match, $25,000 to Johnson County Fiscal Court for a FEMA match that they need to fill, and $1.5 million to the Magoffin County Fiscal Court, as well as $3 million to the Perry County Fiscal Court, and those are to ease financial strain. Including these awards, we've now approved $23.8 million of these funds. there's going to be a lot more applications to come. We saw in the West that it takes time, and more of these awards are going to be in hard infrastructure like wastewater systems, where we know that over $1 billion worth of damage occurred. And so that takes a number of steps by these communities before they can apply for it. I believe in the end, every single dollar in this fund will be used. But we got to let people have the time to do it right and to make sure that they are spending the dollars well. We continue to look forward to additional applications, and we're working with the communities to make sure that we receive them. Let's give a Team Kentucky weather update. Last night we had multiple thunderstorms across western Kentucky, and we've received some reports of damage. As many of you experienced, severe weathers continue this morning through central Kentucky. I drove through it this morning. Multiple tornado watches and warnings have been issued, along with heavy rain making some roadways hazardous. I was certainly in a situation where you could not see more than 20 feet in front of you this morning. Thankfully, everybody was being really safe, slowing down, putting on the hazards, doing all the things to protect themselves and everybody else around them. The weather has the possibility to continue through early afternoon, so everybody stay alert. Check all your news sources. I want to thank all our news stations, meteorologists, and weather teams for all the great work. And I also want to thank them for continuing to push out that information all day long in different forms. We consider ourselves a partner in them doing so. Public health update: influenza is somewhat declining, but it remains at elevated levels overall in Kentucky. In some years, the flu has had a second surge, so we need to take precautions and be diligent. 8 Kentucky children have died from influenza this season, making this a particularly dangerous and tragic year for the flu. It is not too late to get vaccinated. The flu shot works really well against the flu that's out there this year. So please, you know there's a lot of locations. You know where you can go get one. If you haven't gotten your flu shot, it is still worth it. In good news, RSV activity definitely appears to be declining. That's got to be a relief to parents of especially young children. And COVID-19 is increasing in the United States, and we have seen some increases in Kentucky, but we haven't seen the substantial increases in cases that some other states are seeing, nor are we seeing substantial increase in hospitalizations, though the graph is trending up a little bit. If we can just show the overall map, several Kentucky counties now have COVID-19 community levels. You know, what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks is a bounce up and a bounce down. Overall, it's elevated from before the holiday season, but we are not experiencing anything like what we saw after the 2 holiday seasons before this. So yes, we see more cases. Yes, we see a little bit more hospitalization, but the vaccinations work, the treatments work, the mitigation factors that people use. I see folks for lots of different reasons that choose on different times to wear a mask or do other things. They work. What we are seeing now is that we know a lot about this virus, and people overall are making responsible decisions that prevent some of the really big spikes we've seen in the past. But remember, COVID-19 is real, and we are watching this new XBB.1.5 Omicron subvariant. I think we've seen enough now to say it's more contagious than previous Omicron variants, and that's a heck of a statement. That means it's, again, one of the most contagious viruses in our lifetime, if not in history. But we haven't seen anything yet to suggest it's going to be more severe, but it is really early on. What we do have confidence in, and again, we're waiting for the data to come in, is that the new booster is going to work against this variant just like the other Omicron variants. And part of that, as Dr. Stack explained to me, and I will now butcher, is that it is really a melding of 2 earlier Omicron variants, which would suggest, since the vaccine worked well against each of them individually, it should work well against this. But here's the thing. Only 12% of Kentuckians who qualify have gotten that Omicron booster. It's a good idea. Please consider it as this thing continues to morph. And now our team, Kentucky AllStars. We have a lot of people to thank for efforts in Eastern Kentucky that have helped those communities and are helping right now in the recovery and the rebuilding. And we're over time going to recognize a lot of them. But one of those organizations is FAHI, a group that brings people, resources, and organizations together to rebuild homes and communities. Following the floods, 11 FAHI members and Kentucky Habitat for Humanity responded to the immediate shelter needs of our families affected. The organizations helped provide emergency housing and began repairs to damaged housing where it was safe to return. So far, they've moved nearly 200 Kentucky families back into their homes. See, we're able to report oftentimes on where the government has been involved. These are these nonprofits that are out there, and that's a great number. There's a lot more to go, but 200 families back in their homes is pretty special. In October, FAHI launched the Housing Can't Wait campaign. The program is a collaborative between FAHI, Habitat for Humanity, the Kentucky Housing Corporation, and the Kentucky State Office of USDA Rural Development. Through this initiative, 60 new homes have been completed or under construction, and 175 additional homes have received major rehabilitation. That is great progress. We are thankful for FAHI, all those other organizations, and they are making a difference for families like the Weavers. This family barely escaped the flooding. Their home, all their belongings, and their car was destroyed. With their FEMA award, insurance, and the help of Housing Can't Wait, they have purchased a new home out of the floodplain. And the best news of all is they'll stay in Whitesburg with their loved ones, staying in their community in a safer location. So today it gives me pride to name Jim King, the president and CEO of FAHI, and his entire team as our team, Kentucky AllStars. Jim, y'all are true heroes. You're doing a great job. We are honored to call you partners. Keep it up. Again, we have a huge task in front of us, but with folks like you on board, I know we can get it done. All right, we will switch to questions in almost record time. 2 journalists here, 2 on the line. We'll start with Carolina.
Governor, like you said, it is a severe weather day. Given our recent history with natural disasters, people tend to get a little anxious around days like this. Can you explain what steps the state does when we're monitoring situations like this, and what advice is being given to Kentuckians right now?
Well, in instances like today where we are seeing severe weather, the first thing we try to do is put out accurate information and put it out as often as possible so that people can see and understand and change their patterns, especially for when they're driving and when they're moving based on that weather. A whole lot of it, though, is knowing that it's going to be there and slowing down, taking your time, knowing that it's more important that you get to your destination in one piece than you even get there on time. We're working with the National Weather Service, which we do, to make sure that we continually update how severe we think things are going to be. And we receive information in through emergency management and other areas about whether we've actually seen a tornado or what type of damage is out there. We have received reports of damage. I have not yet received any reports of injuries, and that is a very good thing. But remember, we can prevent those injuries by just taking our time when that severe weather hits. Remember, you're protecting yourselves. You're also protecting that next person in the car next to you. Mark Payne.
Last week, thanks, Governor. Last week, the Council for Better Education filed a lawsuit over House Bill 9. Would you want to weigh in on that lawsuit? And do you think the Supreme Court's recent decision on education opportunity accounts might set precedent for a lawsuit under the charter schools?
Yes, the question was about the lawsuit on charter schools, and I support the lawsuit. The charter school bill is unconstitutional, and the Kentucky Supreme Court's recent opinion couldn't be clearer. Public dollars have to go to public schools, full stop. I believe that precedent will be applied or should be applied, and I believe that it was clear enough that the Supreme Court will apply it. If those that are not satisfied with our public school system, and we should always work to improve a system of education, shouldn't be trying to siphon dollars off to organizations that they then try to give more flexibility and less accountability to or over. They should be working with the public school system. I worry that a lot of this comes down to dollars, and it's merely an effort to send dollars that go to public education to private corporations. That's wrong. As a dad of 2 public school students, there are things we need to do better. But the answer is to improve our public school system so that nobody is left behind. Tom Latek on the line.
Good afternoon, Governor. I have a monumental and a statutorial question. The monumental one is you made brief reference to it earlier. Looks like there's some construction there in Monument Park, which I assume it has to do with the COVID memorial. Could you explain or describe the status of that and when it might be completed? And secondly, the statutory question is, do we have a replacement for Jefferson Davis's statue in the rotunda? And where is the Davis statue now, and where's it going to end up?
My understanding is that the Davis statue is in storage. Right now, we haven't created any type of system yet for adding a new statue in the rotunda. That would be one that should have a lot of public input. What we've seen in a lot of events is that we needed a little more space in the rotunda, and that space has been utilized to include more people and be able to handle larger events than we did in the past. The construction you've seen is related to the COVID memorial, and it's important that we have one. And we're going to have lost over 18,000 Kentuckians at least through this. It's going to be a place where people can grieve. We've seen heroic efforts of so many people, including our healthcare heroes. They deserve to be recognized. And this is a major traumatic, but also historical event that we've all lived through together. And to memorialize and to remember it, both the good and the bad, is really important. I certainly hope that the next pandemic is 100 years in the future, but it's important that we prepare people for the next time to do even better, to lose fewer people, and to keep that full sense of unity in the entire time that you battle something like this. Our expectations is in the spring that it'll be complete, though we hope maybe a little bit earlier. Joe Sonka, the Courier-Journal.
Thanks, Governor. I wanted to ask you about a couple of bills that were filed last week. One, Senate Bill 45, is another bipartisan bill to abolish the death penalty. Checking to see if you are in favor of that. Secondly, there were a pair of bills filed to lower the age of concealed carry from 21 to 18 and also allow concealed carry in more government buildings, colleges, and K through 12 schools. Checking to see your reaction to those bills too.
I've not reviewed the concealed carry age reduction and would want to. I am against allowing concealed carry in schools. That's wrong. We should not be going in that direction. And I think there was an accidental incident here recently that shows that. I think that while I strongly believe in the Second Amendment, there are certain areas like our public schools that it is appropriate not to allow weapons and concealed weapons specifically. That's why I also believe that we got to work to get a school resource officer in each of our public schools trained and ready to ensure that the worst fear that we have as parents never happens. What was the first one? Oh, listen, I having been a prosecutor and actually sat with my dad to midnight during the last execution that occurred in Kentucky. I believe that there are some crimes that are so horrific and some people that are so dangerous that merit the existence of the death penalty. But with that said, we have an injunction that has been in place prohibiting the death penalty for a number of years. I also think that there are legitimate discussions about the cost of the death penalty versus life in prison and what it means in terms of appeals. So I look forward to hearing that discussion and the grounds on which it's based. But I do believe in limited circumstances based on both some really horrendous crimes that have occurred. In one instance, the slaughter of an entire family, and how dangerous some of those individuals may be, that the death penalty still has a place in our society. All right, on that note, that is the end of our update this week. We will be back next week. Watch the weather, not just now, but any other time that it pops up. I know I've said this before, but we haven't made it this far through a pandemic, through flooding, through ice storms, through tornadoes, to lose one additional person to a severe weather event that occurs over a day or a couple of days. So be safe. Everybody wants you to make it to your location more than make it to your location on time. Thank you all very much.